the monkey out of me because you're such a monkey.
I gotta be ready to hug you, man.
I'm a podium kind of guy. I'm not a fourth place kind of guy.
It's like unreal.
Very strange, Vanessa, very strange.
That's good, I love it. I love it.
Never ends. Never, ever, ever, ever ends.
The money flows free in Montreal. The fish collected, the pros lost.
How sick are you in the head?
That was a blow up.
Premier League stuff is sick, bro.
Tonight, heat number 5 of 6 plays out at the Playground Poker Club. The tension is really mounting for all of our 12 pros, all desperate to take a seat at the coveted final table, where $400,000 will be awarded to the winner. Last time, Heat 4 provided us with more drama and excitement as Phil Laak stole the show.
All in.
For the second time this season, Scott Seaver left with the bagel. Jungleman busted with 1 point. Vanessa Seltz fell next. Mizzi hung in for 5 points.
Have fun, guys.
Hometown hero Duhamel bailed for 7 points. Laak got lucky.
That's unbelievable.
You had me big time, bro.
On more than one occasion.
It never ends. Never, ever, ever, ever ends.
I love going fast. I love this. Motocross, bring it on. I see jumps.
Wow, you're so sick. I mean, wow.
Early leader Esfandiari out in third. Laak was pipped at the post by Colman.
Am I out? I think so.
Here's how it stands after 4 heats. Clear by 8 points. Dan Colman is a lock for the top 4 zone, where our players head automatically onto the final table. Sorel, Mizzi, and Jeff Gross also look secure. For Jason Koon, he'll be in the clubhouse after tonight and rely on others to determine his fate. Those in the playoff zone will be battling it out in heads-up matches for the last 2 seats on the final table. It's snug round there, with Esfandiari and Laak in action tonight, and then, with 6 of the bottom 8 in the league in action in the final heat, it will be a scramble to the finish line to grab a top 8 placing.
Heat number 5 has all the ingredients for another interesting game where tactics will undoubtedly play their part. For some, it's the last chance to secure the points to keep them in the Premier League. Tonight, joining Jesse in the commentary booth is Sorel Mizzi.
Heat 5 is where things start to get extreme in the Premier League. I mean, Sorel, 4 guys coming in today. It's their last heat, so they're going to have to post a number, a score on the door.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way things have been going is that the people who have been doing well continue to be doing well, and the people who aren't doing well continue to be not doing well. So it's going to create this interesting dynamic where Dan Colman and Jeff are going to be able to be really aggressive against the players who need to rack up the points.
I mean, we've seen Phil Laak use some really extreme tactics up to this point, but now maybe it's not just going to be him. I mean, people might just go bananas in there.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Phil's going to, keep it a little less crazy and maybe be a little bit more tight, but you never know with Phil Laak, and that's why I love watching him and I love commentating on his heat.
And we'll see if he brings out the ski mask, the sun goggles, and more.
Heat 5 is set up nicely for some multi-level poker thinking. We know that strategy and tactics will play their part, but who will lock up the maximum points here at the Playground Poker Club? Let's get the cards in the air.
How do you top weird and wild? Well, wacky might be a start. Heat number 5. A lot of tactics in play. My opinion is that everything depends on how this heat starts off.
I'll do it for 15.
For example, I think a guy like Dan Shak should Phil Laak into this heat, and Antonio Esfandiari and perhaps even Brian Rast. If they start out very poor, then Dan Shak might be happy enough with a 5th place finish. How are you feeling about your position in the league? Second.
Far larger amount and
Very good.
And have like a lot of
I'm doing very well. But by no means am I guaranteed a spot in the Final Four at this point. I figured out some of the math, and I'm basically rooting against Jason Koon and Antonio at this point. Those are the 2 people. Sorry to say, but if there's an all-in situation, I will not be impartial. I will be rooting against both of them.
It's funny to say because Koon, right before this heat started, he was saying, I'm not worried. I'm bulletproof. I'm guaranteed the heads up no matter what. I feel like there's a lot of permutations where his 20 points might not even make top 8.
The great Phil Laak, huh?
You know, I think even though everyone knows what great friends Laak and Antonio are, they've played each other at the same table on TV, far and few between.
Just give it to me, you know?
And Antonio not only wants revenge, but is about to get it.
Check.
How happy is he right now?
That well for me.
Flop a full house against Mr. Laak. First 7 would have been the bingo card.
6,000.
Nice bet. Laak decides to lose his mind.
I don't know.
Call.
I mean, a 7 is a... Just feel the way things have been going in this Premier League. There's more than 2 7s in this deck.
I'll probably decide before the end of the year if the spot's still open.
What's up?
I'll probably decide before the end of the year if the spot's still open.
Wow, check. What a check. He's got Laak betting for value.
By the way,
He's got him. He's absolutely got him.
If I bet, and I'm not saying I am going to or not, if I do, its primary directive is so you don't see my hand. Because I know I'm winning, but it's just so disgusting. You can't ever call. But you know what? I'm not going to bet. I'm just going to take the money. I'm just going to take the money. I'm not betting that check.
Actually, he's rubbed it in. He's rubbed it in.
I almost bet for value. Wow.
That was a beautiful speech.
I'm not taking the money. He has the better hand. Wow, I wanted to do it on the turn too, but I held off the river for value.
He's trying to make Antonio think he had an ace. What a beautiful speech. Or maybe like a jack deuce or something.
I think that's the move, BBF. You should go.
By the way, you were kind of sitting in that seat right there for the Phil Laak show last night. What do you think of the Phil Laak show when you see it? And were you aware of what was going on? Like how many hands he was playing? I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean,
well, as you know, I've had the opportunity once to sit here and watch Phil Laak play every single hand. I was in the commentator booth for one of the tournaments in London. And I saw it. He just decided, I'm going to be the cherry bomber today. And sometimes he makes that decision to do that, and other times he just sits there and he's snug. But you have to figure out which Phil Laak you're going to see. And it seems like throughout this tournament we've seen the cherry bomber. We've seen the crazy Phil Laak who tries to get people off the best hand a lot and plays a lot of hands in a very peculiar fashion. In this format, it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, but, it's Phil Laak, and he's the best.
And by the way, this hand right here, calling for the small blind with 3-8 suited, I'm guessing it has to do with the fact that it's Brian Rast. And Brian Rast is one of the guys who have to do poorly if Laak's going to do well.
Right, and I don't know if that makes it better to call there. I think he should be not trying to... Wait, you're saying that Phil wants Rast to do good or bad?
Bad.
So in that case, that Laak should not be calling there with 8-3.
He should be 3-betting or folding in
should be, yeah, exactly. And I think that,
we danced.
Playing against a player as good as Rast out of position with 8-3 suited is not going to be a positive play in the long run. But it seems like it's going to work here.
Flips here, and obviously Laak should raise.
Yeah, I think at this point, Laak has to put more money in the pot. I mean, there's a lot of draws out there, and I don't think that Rast is going to, if he did have an ace, I don't think he's gonna fold it very easily.
He's going for the super delayed check raise, right? I mean, he's going to try and make Rast bet or bluff on the river.
It looks like this is going to be a card.
And I'm doing those cable ab crunches,
Rast
and I'm just like grunting because I'm like
Rast
40 or 50
bluff.
reps, and a kid walks
like
in.
from Rast's point of view, Phil has an ace here, a lot, right?
Exactly. It looks like Phil has an ace. It looks like Phil has an ace, jack. Like basically at this point, ace jack is the same as any ace, other than like the 2-pair aces or a full house. And what Rast might do here is put in a big overbet.
Say I have ace king, and you have to fold your ace jack.
Exactly.
41,000.
Wow. Phil is a very you can. The thing is,
just called him.
Just called. You know, Phil, you probably know more about Phil's game than any living human being.
Which equates to absolutely nothing.
Right. He probably shocks you every single time he plays a hand. Still. I mean,
I was actually just thinking when he did
what's
that,
interesting
it'd be
about
really
Phil
funny
is that he's a very complicated player. You know, he puts people in very tough spots at times. That doesn't necessarily mean that every decision he makes is good, but it's hard to play against him. It's hard to play against a guy who is completely unpredictable. And no one, I mean, you can't put Phil on hands as well as you can someone who's
it makes it look easy. Let's see,
fundamentally sound,
3 barrels
because
with the ace
you
4.
never know what Phil's going to do.
You know,
yeah, that's what Brian said. Let's see him call 3 barrels with the ace 4. I mean, he's right, isn't he? He is right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're the best.
Ace 4 in that spot, again, is the same as Ace
Phil
Jack.
is coming after
but
me. Look at that. 8-3 suited out of position. Phil,
I
I'm so ready, buddy.
The
it wasn't
reason
even a
I'm
big
not
blind. It
thrilled
was
about
a small
Rast's
blind.
bet is that I don't think he's folding an ace. I don't think Laak is folding an ace. I think, like, in order to get Laak to
I can do nothing,
fold an
Phil.
ace, he might have to
But
fold
use
an
my
ace.
Premier League.
But I guess it worked out for him because he wasn't folding that hand for sure.
I was kind of saying that Laak is the one guy at the
You've
seen him fearless tonight. In which case, I mean, like, for him, there's almost no difference between 8th place and 5th place.
Hold on,
I mean, it's very marginal right now for Phil Laak, you know.
Well,
I mean,
I'm gonna ask you a question
maybe 5
later.
points
But I'm
sneaks
gonna
him
put on pause
in.
right now. Right now, it's time to try and bust.
Not for sure.
Bust that man.
So, you know, what does it matter? He has to kind of go for it right now and not really worry about
money and led to a
Right, and then we have to ask ourselves: is going for it, calling from
all
the
I
small
really
blind
want to
with
do is
ace 3,
if we have a
or
fight here,
is it? You know,
No, you can answer that in a very positive manner.
Right.
I'm sure you're right.
40
Yeah, I
cat
don't know.
nice,
I mean,
kid,
I
and no
think
bluffing.
that if that's his his strategy going into this, which it very well might be, and it might be the correct strategy, he should be putting people under intense pressure, and that's not being passive. But you know,
he like, should be over betting and over bombing at all stages of the hand, right?
I mean, when the blinds go up, I think there's some case for preserving your stack until the blinds go up. And then putting the pressure on, because that's when the pressure's really gonna. That's when it's really gonna be a high pressure situation, rather than like when the blinds are low. I mean, people are more inclined to call and to see flops and to do wacky things at this stage than they are like later on.
Great check by Laak on the turn. He had the flush draw, and whether or not he knew it, Shak sitting there with the straight. 4 ways. Wow, Shak's played this really passively. I mean, maybe not passively, maybe just really over trappy.
Did Shak check all 3 streets?
He's checked every street.
Wow.
And everyone's checked every street, and he's in the small blind. So I mean, well, he finally got Antonio to go for it here. I mean, what the heck is Antonio trying to represent?
I think it's more that he just doesn't think anyone has a hand that they can call with, which he shouldn't. You know, like it just, you know, Antonio's the type of player that's gonna try to pick up pots that nobody wants, and it doesn't seem like anyone wants this pot. But you know, and I would think the same. I mean, Shak's checked 3 times and everyone's checked behind. This is the type of board that you should see somebody bet at some point with a hand.
Raised to 25,000.
Okay, we get.
She brought it.
That's gonna end.
You know,
Yeah, I know you did.
I think betting on the turn. I mean, Dan managed to get the most value out of his hand. But I think he should be. Actually, no, he didn't, because
Laak had the straight.
Laak had the straight, the straight and the flush draw. But yeah, I think it would have been better to bet on the turn there.
Oh, Shak above the starting stack. But yeah, having looked at the leaderboard, especially in this heat, I mean, right now it seems quite clear that a bagel is a disaster, and maybe even 7th is a disaster for everyone except for perhaps Laak, who's already just in a world of pain, having played 3 heats, and Dan Colman, who you know, is right now just deciding between if he's going to be the biggest or second biggest chip stack in the final table. We're back for more from this heat of Premier League Poker 7 in a moment.
Take the 2,000, boys. Enjoy the fight.
I just buckled up. It's so insane.
We're at Canada's premier poker destination, the Playground Poker Club, where player rivalries are surfacing.
Heat 4 finished off last night, and there was a little bit of tension at the table. Phil Laak crippled your stack, and you gave him a little gesture as you left the table.
Yeah, well, you know, at some point the math has to start breaking even, and it's been about 12 years now, and it just doesn't change. I can never beat this numbnuts if my life depended on it. You're so hopeless, it's amazing. Against anyone else, I have a chance, but against the great Phil Laak, wow, you're so sick. I mean, wow. Phil Laak, ladies and gentlemen. I keep thinking at some point maybe things will change, but after 10 years or so, they're not changing. Maybe I should just give up. I mean, he's the greatest. It never ends. Never, ever, ever, ever ends.
Do you feel any kind of pleasure when that happens? Is it like, yeah, I did it again?
Although life is a combination and a juxtaposition of the pleasure, tension, things here and there. The pleasure comes naturally just by living. The tension that you were talking about earlier, yeah, I feel tension with myself mostly when I see I'm giving tons of EV away, getting it all in wrong. The problem is I might be playing dirty.
Are you kidding me?
I knew I couldn't get this limp through. The world's good. Whatever happens, I can't learn it all fast enough. It's
All right.
But we'll just cross our fingers.
Cross our fingers, and Heat 5 today. Let the chips fall where they may.
Do what about?
I mean, right now it seems quite clear that a bagel is a disaster, and maybe even seventh, it is a disaster for everyone except for perhaps Laak, who's already just in a world of pain, having played 3 heats, and Dan Colman, who, you know, is right now just deciding between if he's going to be the biggest or second biggest chip stack in the final table.
Yeah, Dan is making it pretty much no matter what. And
by the way, you're the only one who really has gotten an edge on Dan Colman. I mean, you kind of throttled him a few times in the heat that you won. But what do you think of his play so far? He's been pretty awesome, right?
He's been playing very well. Dan and I actually have a lot of history online.
He said that. Yeah.
We play a lot of heads up together. So I know his little tricks. I know his little free bet. I mean, this might be a case in point right here.
Outside, top to bottom, doesn't fall apart. It's part of the cup.
That said, this is the first time that Coleman has made an aggressive play like this before the third level.
Right down to the bottom. It's the best way to deliver.
I believe that. Dan is, I think he's coming in with a strategy of
they're really probably
just
more
of
expensive
a
to play
typical
on
sitting
anymore,
where you're
they're
supposed
like
to play tight at the beginning and then
many
aggressive
years,
at the end.
perhaps decades. We'll still have that as like the triumph.
You know, a lot of the plays that he makes, people would sort of be like, why is he doing that?
Coffee in the morning
but we have to understand, like, you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on people. Like,
it's so we're talking about those
in a lot of situations where you 3-bet, the ace 10 is going to be the same as like the 3-6. Either way, you can't call the 4-bet. So Dan sort of like understands that, and he knows that, okay, this is going to work this percent of the time, and therefore it's profitable, and he just makes decisions based on putting people in spots where they have to either fold or put their entire tournament life at risk.
Wow, and this is really, you know, from Gross, we haven't seen this before. He's just flatting with the 2 kings, and
I swear
it's trappy. I mean, this is not fear, is it? I mean, this is trappy, right? He's trying to let Dan Colman hang himself.
I would hope so, and I think it's a good play. I think it's a really, you know, it could be that just wants to hot control with his kings, but it could also be that he knows that Dan is 3-betting a decent amount, and by 4-betting, like with Jeff's image, if he 4-bets in this spot pre-flop, then his hand is face up based on how he's been playing up until this point. So I really like the call from him.
Tricky spot for Colman.
I think Coleman's gonna. Is Colman out of position or?
No, yeah, he's in the big blind. Big blind and against the middle position open.
Okay. I think Coleman's gonna fire again in this spot.
Really high rock into like, but then I was thinking about it,
And the idea being that really there's very few hands that Jeff can raise with here. I mean, even if he hasn't beat,
36,000.
Coleman probably knows that if he gets called, he's beat like all the time.
Right. I think basically he's betting for a number of reasons. A, because he's out of position and he wants to continue putting the pressure on. Like if he was in position here, I think he might be checking back a decent amount. But he might think he has the best hand sometimes, and also he has a lot of outs to hit, like for sure the guaranteed nuts in this spot, and also you know,
Gross is looking like he's really a little bit nervous here. I mean, maybe he's putting on an act, but I think he's trying to figure out how big the river bet might be. Like, if Coleman checks here, I think it's getting checked back. What do you think?
I think maybe there's a little dynamic between them where, you know, JG might be a little worried
Jumping
about
off a bridge.
Wow. The kid's got heart. No one can say he doesn't.
He knows he's beat. He knows he's beat. At this stage, he probably knows what Jeff has. Ace, Jack, or better, for sure.
Right. I would agree with that.
Wow. I know you're not bluffing, but I was trying to think.
With an overpair, JG's going to be put in a very difficult spot here. I mean, it's a great bluff. And that's the other reason for betting the turn is that you could represent and you can to set up a bluff on the river. And it looks like, what is the bet here? Like, is that relative to the pot size?
125, so now it's so it's pot size basically. You bet 125 into 135, I guess.
You wouldn't have been able to go back.
It's incredibly tough for JG to call here.
And yet, like,
The
think
universe
about it
was the lucky day for the universe because there was no obstruction there.
I think he's got a lot more to win by calling than he does to lose. You know what I mean? He's going to be. He knows he's going to be at the final table. He's got another heat after this. I mean, if he beats Colman and Colman bagels, Gross has a chance, like, to get top spot. Is that not the way to think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, we know that JG, like, just from watching him play, does not like to get involved very early. He likes to lock up the spots. And with that added pressure of, you know, not necessarily, if he gets out 8th here, then he's not guaranteed a spot. But if he just gets a few points, if he gets like somewhere between 3 to 7 points, like he's a very, very big favorite to advance to the top 4 without having to sweat the heads up. So the only place that JG doesn't want to get is 8th or 7th.
I mean, he needs to think about this because Colman would never, ever make this bet. You know, this big a bet.
I want to let it go, but you play queens like
Well, that
this.
doesn't mean they eat people. I mean, like, there's only
Sizing
like
is so
3 sharps on
smelly.
the board.
Yeah, Coleman's range is super polarized in this spot. It's either aces or better.
Call.
Oh wow.
You're minority though.
Good, that's what you do. I just wheel them in with kings, no problem. You know?
I mean, I was going to re-raise pre, but I just, you know, I wanted to see if Dan's going to try to abuse me today. I just buckled up.
Yeah.
Huge news.
Played a little risky.
Jeff Gross has taken the sheen off Dan Colman. And I mean, Colman may have pushed it a little too far. And for Jeff Gross, that may be the second strongest statement he has made in this Premier League. You know, I'm not going to let you guys, I may play a little bit tight, but I can buckle up.
Craziest thing I've done.
But no, what do you need? What do you need? Jacks or tens? He has like random 2 cards there. He could have beat. He doesn't have jacks or tens.
Jeff Gross is a new face to the Premier League, so we thought we'd find out a little bit more about the high roller.
My name is Jeff Gross. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. This year has been a breakout year, with the year ago being here in Montreal exactly. It was 1 year ago where I had that 3rd place finish in the WPT, like 1,200 person field. Feel very comfortable here, and I take 2nds and 3rds a lot and 5ths, and like I'm ready to get a win. This should be a really good Premier League for me. I truly believe that. I mean, everyone thinks they're the best probably, you know, in this format, but I really know like my sit and go and my ability to stay tight and change gears. I think some people have trouble doing that. They just want to play too many pots and are going to let their ego come into play. And I have a game plan. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to like go into too much detail, but I'm going to be tight at the beginning and loosen it up. This is not how I would approach a normal multi-tournament. You know, no one's going to be saying, I'm inventing the game right now. But when I get heads up or 3-handed, I think you'll notice a dramatic difference in play. My strategy, you'll see how it goes.
I think
Things have not started out well for Brian Rast, that's for sure. He needed to have a little bit of a good run here, and he kind of lost his gambling chips the first third of his stack. I mean, he's thinking to himself now, I need to grind out 5 points here and then get a big finish in my 4th heat. I mean, it's really not pretty for him.
Fold.
Here comes Phil Laak again.
Fold.
Colman is definitely going to have to sit back now. They just folded the ace-9 to a Phil Laak open.
Get him, Koon.
Full ring.
He's a fish.
No, it was off. It's funny because I think I'm like the tightest player here. I'm not the tightest, but tighter than I expected other people to be.
Huge flop for Koon. Big blind.
Wow.
Just the wheel.
Just the wheel.
I just can't resist it, JJ. Got 3 diamonds.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
6,500
You
bucks.
don't believe me. It's just like if I can get hands, I'm dangerous. If I don't, I just pray to double
You
up.
just hang around and get second anyway.
Right. So it's not the worst outcome.
I feel like Koon is in a spot where it suits him to actually kind of end pots quickly, but this hand is just too big to do anything with, but try and let Phil hang himself.
Only Phil Laak.
Yeah,
Check.
I know my limitations.
I think Phil has shown that he's willing to fire 3 barrels with air enough that that call seems fine.
You gotta know your own style. You gotta go with what your style is. That's why.
18.5.
He's definitely
18,500.
I might have to switch styles, JJ.
He's got to bet the river after Phil checks back because he's checking back like a lot of medium pairs that he doesn't want to fire 3 bullets on. And I don't think
The problem with my style is you actually have to get good hands too, though.
I don't think that Phil is going to go for a bet, and a check raise wouldn't work for Koon most of the time, unless Phil actually had a flush. Because Phil, it looks like Phil could easily have a hand with like a 5 or 3 or deuce in it, and plus we've seen Phil like just make these weird. All of a sudden, after checking back the turn, I'm gonna start repping like the nuts. we've seen that multiple times. So.
JG, when you use that style, I find myself folding more often, and that hurts. How do you deal with the emotional pain of not getting to look at flops with 2 balls in
Because
front?
I love everyone here, so it's like I get to interact and watch, and so I like watching you guys do your thing too. So I'm actively watching and I'm not playing.
Right, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna join you in that.
So you got off to a good start. You can just hang out.
Yeah, appreciate you. I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah, no more hands for you. I believe you this time. I love you. I just love hanging out.
Oh, I shouldn't have told them that. I figured it out.
Well, whatever.
Now they know.
But now they don't know.
But now I can do a reverse.
Now you have more options than you even had before.
That's what I have.
You're into a lot. You got a good thing going, Phil.
Apparently, last night the Jungleman won $30,000 off Antonio in a prop bet that involved him standing outside without a shirt for 20 minutes.
Wow, I did hear something about it, but I didn't hear the details. So it was 20 minutes, $30,000.
He had to stand outside. It was really cold last night. I mean, it was like 7, 8 below 0, I think, Celsius. And 20 minutes without a shirt outside the hotel. And Antonio's a little bit tilted today because apparently Dan did it with
Wow. Making bets, trying to get people cold.
That's insane. I mean, I'm lucky because I only have to spend about 16 seconds outside every day. I go from the hotel to the car and then the car to the casino. And I was, even those 14 seconds is a lot for me, but spending 20 minutes, I don't think I could do it.
Apparently the guy who was most tilted was Scott Seifert because he piled in on Antonio's side because he just said, well, Antonio never loses these prop bets, especially not against a guy like the Jungleman. He must know for sure.
I mean, it's definitely a fair statement.
Take the 2,000, boys. Enjoy the fight.
Antonio's probably one of the best prop bettors in the world, but sometimes he makes mistakes, And, when it comes to the Jungleman's willpower, you never know.
You wouldn't want to bet on the Jungleman's willpower. You wouldn't want to underestimate it.
He's got a lot of willpower, the kid. I mean,
you don't just become like the guy who won the most money in the history of online poker just because you have to have some determination.
Right. Were you there to witness that, or
no, I didn't. Just everyone was talking about it.
I wonder if he was jumping around or like doing any.
He had to stand still.
He had to stand still.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Baltimore good.
That changes everything.
Their main one marks it is hurt or whatever.
So obviously this ace has changed things. Question is, how much has it changed? Coleman's bet every street here.
So
Jungle's flat in every street.
Probably not making the playoffs.
It's gonna be close. I mean, they could win.
Wow.
Yeah.
Check.
Are they the same team as last year? No, like Ray Lewis.
Coleman checks his straight.
A bunch of guys retired or moved. Ed Reed's gone.
And I think it's actually going to work. I think that Jungle is going to turn this hand into a bluff a lot of the time. I mean, Dan just is playing Jungle like a fiddle here.
Well said. Everybody knows that if you give Jungle the opportunity to bluff, he'll take it, right?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely one of the type of player to take that opportunity.
Actually, Ravens have a chance, and they have a chance for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
also, the Jungle's something like 0 for 18 on bluffs in this Premier League.
That might factor in a little bit, but it might. No, it doesn't look like it's going to stop him. He's the Jungleman. You know, he doesn't like to quit.
56,000.
Oh, look at you! See that little micro expression from Dan? Like it worked.
No.
You know, he just gave that little smile. Yeah.
Wow, like a fiddle is right.
Wow.
He played the Jungle.
That was beautiful. Jungle is not happy right now.
How does this constantly happen? It's so ridiculous.
And you know, for Jungleman, a bagel is his Premier League.
Jungle, what happened there?
I bluffed with a hand that I could bluff with, and then he had a straight.
If he didn't have the straight, he wouldn't have called you though, right?
I wasn't.
So insane. Every one of my bluffs, I just run into the nuts.
I mean, that is exactly what's happening.
So ridiculous. Seriously. Just cannot have the best hand when anyone does anything other than winning all of it. That's the only.
You know what? It's so sick. I've seen all your hands, and they always have a better hand than you. It's sick.
It really does seem that way whenever I play live.
It's amazing because everyone knows that Antonio is trolling Jungle.
You're playing great. Every time they have a hand, it's like insane, right?
It seems like it. It does.
Oh, they do love it. He's such a great character for the Premier League.
It's so annoying that I have the one. Yeah. Well, I guess if you have every queen, you can have that and random other queens.
They also have like jacks that have to fold and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And really,
if you call jacks,
they all just want to see Jungleman on tilt.
You would have just put me there.
And you know, this is a $125,000 tournament. They have to take that edge if they have it.
King of spades. Flops or whatever. He's gonna flop.
Everything the Jungleman does in this Premier League has not worked yet. And yet here he is, still with a heck of a chance.
What's the
Two high-level poker players, the favorites in the tournament, best friends, and Colman.
So they're gonna make anything this entire tournament. Seriously.
Check.
So ridiculous.
Jungle, in all my years of playing poker, like it is one of the sickest things I've seen this Premier League. Right? I mean, it's like it just doesn't stop, you know? It's sick. I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
Last heat, I missed a couple draws versus Vanessa or whatever.
Did she call you down?
No. Well, she led the turn in a spot where I barrel turned, but maybe not river.
Maybe it's just that this is a really tough board
she saved me.
to continue
She thought
on
I'd raise
without
the
a
turn or
strong
something.
hand.
Wow, the old Phil Laak and PBF special. A little Jack 7-4, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what happens here.
3 hearts?
I'm excited. I'm excited. How does Phil Laak win at poker? Jungle, how does Phil Laak win at poker?
He's got the X factor.
He what?
He's got the X factor. You never know what he's gonna do.
How good is he 1 to 100 if you're 100? We should do a lot of things on that.
That'd be a good lot of links question, but
honestly, if you're 100, what would you give Phil Laak?
I don't know if I would answer that question.
Why? I'll answer it.
You can answer it.
I give him like a 54.
Okay.
Maybe less.
What I love about Jungle, this is what Antonio knows, is that Jungle will not lie if you ask him a question.
God, it's an oven in here.
He managed to avoid that question, but he will not lie.
Like we did in Alpha 8.
I'm in.
You just play in your underwear.
Phil stone cold bluffed you there.
Yeah, 100%.
Stone cold bluffed you
100%
there.
is like 10-8 of spades.
Like just complete error. Complete error. Phil Laak has complete error. I'm just letting the world know.
Yeah, he might just have like ace-9.
Every single person at the table knew that except for Jeff Gross. But
Well, you're the greatest. You know that PBF, you know.
Yeah, he's taking. He knows that like if it's a close call, he's gonna be able to get me to fold. Like,
So who's better than you?
He knows if I have black aces, I'm probably not gonna continue. You know. So.
First level in the books, blinds will go to 2 and 4,000, and obviously it's been a good level for the two guys at the top of the leaderboard. Jeff Gross would not be pushed around by Dan Colman, and Phil Laak has pushed everybody else. Premier League Season 7 continues here at the Playground Poker Club after the break.
I don't think I could respect myself tomorrow if you bluffed me here.
God, I'm such a fish.
I just love it so much. I can't just let go. I'm sorry.
You are such an idiot.
This is the Party Poker Premier League, where heat number 5 represents one last chance for some to secure the points they need to remain in the competition. Time to head back to the action.
Take a look at the table as it stands. Colman a lock for the top 4. Gross 2, bar a disaster in his remaining heats. It's Koon's last chance to post a score before he has to await his fate from the sidelines. Jungleman looks certain to make the playoff zone, but needs big points to move into the top 4. Esfandiari and Laak hanging in there, and Shak and Rast in the elimination.
Rast is going to need a win or a second place.
Well, I mean, no, he's only played 2 heats.
I need a
played the
minor,
last
right?
2, so it is kind of interesting. I mean, you don't ever, you feel like having to win the last heat is sometimes the toughest thing, but, you know, it is better to have to win, and that's all you have to do, than to know that you have to come like 4th or better.
13,000.
Because in those last heats, you know, having to come 4th or better is sometimes really tricky to do, with a lot of people have to do it. But at least if you have to win or you're out,
But I fold a lot of stuff too.
you kind of know what you have to do.
Yeah, and you're not going to be afraid to get the chips in. Right.
I think
so it's going to
be pretty sure.
There's a lot of pressure comes off Rast in that.
He does poorly. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Phil,
If it was your turn,
13,000.
busy talking about some stupid chip thing, doesn't matter, what would you do?
I think I fold it.
I already, I limped because of that thing. And then and everyone folded.
Crazy.
Huh? So you want my money, and you are my friend.
Seat 6 call. Heads up, guys.
Check.
Seat 6 check.
I'll probably just end up playing heads up and be a favorite of that.
Brian Rast is definitely starting to shadow Phil Laak.
Seat 8 check.
And
You have a good chance. This is your third.
it may be because
This is your last.
he realizes that Phil is one of the guys who has to finish under him if he's going to make
Seat 6 check.
the final 8.
It's kind of polar.
Seat 8 check.
Laak limped
Like, like
and
two
Rast
guys
raised
that can't possibly
pre-flop, and then it's just gone check, 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 check.
It's been checked the whole way after.
Yep.
Wow.
What?
Oh my God.
You know what? You know what? This is Brian Rast is not incapable of calling this. I mean,
not at all, and not at all. I mean, you could see the look in his eyes. He's not completely over this hand yet.
He saw Phil play, the entire last 2 heats. He's been watching him intently. I mean, and
the thing is, like,
he's got a game in hand.
Yeah, and Rast is going to be thinking, well, Phil knows that I've been watching his craziness been going on like the whole time and seen every single hand. But then, Phil knows that he's thinking that, so it becomes like a leveling war.
302,500.
I mean, it's
wow. This would be
Jungle, is that
such
correct,
a statement for Brian Rast to make in this Premier League. He's never had this opportunity before.
I just noticed that.
It probably isn't as bad as you think. In a certain range. I mean, if you do it like 5% of the time with like the right hands, it's probably okay.
What's figure that out?
What's Rast gonna do with this range?
Exactly.
What's he gonna call at the top of it?
Who needs that cappy? Call in.
What's up, Philly boy? What's going on? You know, there would give me nothing more than pleasure than to just stake my whole Premier League on making the sickest call with ace high right now. It would give me so much pleasure. It would just, you have no idea how much I would like it, but it would hurt a lot if you had like two eights or like the ace six.
I mean, Laak's line does not make much sense here. He checks the whole way, and then 2 10s come.
Oh, I know this is such a big fold in the books.
Laak is supposed to have.
I think he's gonna call. I think he's gonna call.
Supposed to fold this.
He's definitely considering it.
But this is $125,000 down the drain with ace high to an all-in.
What a hero he would be if he just makes his call.
Come on, buddy. What do you have? Don't want to say anything? Have Jack 10? Jack 10. I could believe Jack 10. Maybe I just make a statement on national television that I'm just a massive fish. Maybe it's just time to make a statement. That I just really never fold a hand. That's just the statement to make, right? Doesn't even matter. Premier League's on it. It's the worst call of all time.
I love that he's taking for this long. It shows how great of a player Rast is and how his mind works.
You really don't want to talk, do you? Guy, you love talking. Why don't you want to talk? Maybe I can't do it. He's such a sick man. He just knows if he bets 50K, I'm gonna call him. That's why he does this. This has to be a bluff. Guys, this has to be a bluff. Like, if you bet 50K, I was gonna call you and you figured that out.
These guys have spent so much time together.
That's why I just gotta do it.
Why he's so smart.
I don't think I could respect myself tomorrow if you bluffed me here. That's what it boils down to. Some things are more important than money in life. But you're gonna show me Jack 10. I'm gonna be so steamed. God, everybody wants me to call this so bad too. Everybody's like, Brian, please call this. Wow. Okay, sorry guys, let me take one more minute and I'll try to be done.
Oh, no one's calling.
I'm really seriously considering
And they don't care because this is not a timed thing, it's number of hands. I mean, he could take all day.
Yeah, and this seems like a very genuine decision. It's not one of the Laak.
I mean, you could have been going for a check raise on a turn with a big hand. Either a flush draw, I mean, it's definitely possible. It's also possible you just have nothing.
Here's the thing, like Phil is never
total stone nothing,
anything
buddy.
but a bluff, a 10, or a flush here. So Rast has to decide.
God, you are sick though. You could just be doing this for value.
Rast has to decide if he's going to, if he puts, you know, if there's enough weight in that he has, if there's more weight that he has a 10 or a flush, or absolutely nothing. And it seems like absolutely nothing is more likely. And with there's enough chips.
I want to do it.
So, at least with his deductive reasoning, it seems like, I mean, it's easy to say from here, but
I mean, he is so cool. I didn't know he was capable of this.
He's definitely very capable.
See, they
He's the best!
Oh my God.
He is the best!
Oh my God.
Wow.
He did it. He did it.
Rastinator, ladies and gentlemen. Who's the best? You're the best.
I knew he was going to call 50, so I went out. You got it nailed. You nailed it. I was like,
By the way, you gave it away at the end, you fish. You're such a fish. You gave it away at the end, 100%.
What'd I say?
I thought so too.
Well, he was about to call, and then he like didn't call, and then you like you stopped movement and went to go for a sip of water. Like, if you wanted him to call, you wouldn't do anything to change course of action.
Yeah. I thought he had ace of diamonds. I thought that's what
Is that
true?
It was awful. He totally gave it away. 100% gave it away.
I wonder if Rast noticed
Good call.
I did not have my mind made up.
Rast, you're the best.
You did for 50. That was the problem.
that was insane.
That will make one of the
that's a lot.
Do you think they'll show that one?
Mostly watermelon.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Do not bluff Rastinator.
Can I get an anti-bluff?
King.
Your small blind.
It works sometimes, but other times you just need to
I mean,
be
he had
scared.
a monster or a stone cold bluff. He couldn't have anything else, really. Was that Queen 7 of spades? In the one hole.
Fill your big
Limped
blind
in the one
4,000.
hole. That's really good play.
What do you think of that play, Jungle? Is that good?
Antonio just never stops with the needle.
It could have been Hollywood.
I was talking myself out of it, and then I just re-upped. I just put the balls on the table and said, it's time to go home. Go big or go home.
Rast is like a legend. He's the kind of guy that was playing the biggest stakes online whenever I first came into the game. And then when the Macau games came around and those were the biggest games, he was there playing those. Shows up to the World Series, wins a bunch of bracelets. Final table is the $1 million buy-in one drop and the 50K Players Championship. There's just no one could argue that he's one of the world's elite.
He's a beast of a poker player. I mean, the guy has so much heart, it's unbelievable.
I love my Rasty, but I have to bust you, Rastinator.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Rast make some crazy plays and be right in this Premier League.
Boom! He's like a Stanford math guy. He's just gonna be, oh, this is what, three betting here, you know. So Rast is the best. Rast is the best. King Rast.
Whoops. He's an absolute force of the game.
Punishing poker gods for this call, because I don't know if it's right.
And he's just a great guy too. It's great to have him at a table because he's fun, he tells jokes, and then he takes all your chips.
I had to make you sweat that one out. That was not easy, Phil. That was a tough call.
Well, yeah,
one of the harder calls
I should have
I've ever
realized
had
you
to
loved
make.
your hand. I should have just realized that and given up.
Ace high. What a beast.
He is the master.
I will not be bluffing you, Rastinator.
Sometimes it works. I do fold sometimes.
I will
but
not
other
be
times I
bluffing
just
I mean,
decide not to.
we've seen Phil make some really strong plays in the
Jungle, are
Premier
you less
League. A lot
likely
of
to
people-
bluff Rast?
Is there anybody else who could have called that bet in this Premier League? I mean,
Anybody who's been sitting in the commentary booth and knows what kind of shenanigans Phil's been up to this entire time.
C1 raise 10,000.
I mean, it's one of those things like, you know,
C2 call.
Rast has had the benefit of getting deep inside
Fold.
of Phil Laak's poker brain, and he knows that Phil
C4
is he's so capable of just monkeying out there and just like risking so many chips to win a small pot.
Fold.
And I don't know. I mean,
C6 call.
that play
Four
is just
players.
not gonna. It's gonna work most
I knew
of the time.
exactly that you liked your
when
ace
it
high
doesn't,
or
it just,
pair deuce,
it's
whatever
just,
shit it
it's
was.
not worth it.
I knew it too.
And I think,
sick.
like
C6.
Antonio
We
mentioned,
can't call
it was
all
a
in.
monster.
C1
and
No,
nothing,
I just
and
didn't
with
realize
the
you
amount
can't
of
call
chips
in.
the
That was
pot,
the problem
it
with
just
that
had
hand.
to, you know, it was.
There's a few guys.
It was a great call. You know,
almost worked.
Rast is a beast. That's all that can be said about that.
C4 bet 21,000.
the Premier League situation made it even tougher. In a cash game, even you could make a lot more reasons for doing
C6
it.
call.
So much pressure.
Fold.
The even
Fold.
sicker
Yeah,
part
absolutely.
is
But again, Rast is
Heads up,
he's at the bottom, so he can
Yeah, if I bagel this,
he
I'm
could,
pretty
because
much
he is
out.
going for the win. It really does create a lot of interesting
C6 check.
situations, the whole point system. In that, you know, on one hand, yeah, he doesn't want to bust early, but he also wants to win, so he has to like keep changing gears.
C4 check.
Bet and call from Antonio on the flop. Check on the turn. Laak's actually not the best hand. They both had a flush draw.
C6 bet 30,000.
This is a bet designed to get ace high to fold.
Yeah, designed to get pretty much ace high to fold, yeah. I really don't think that Antonio would fold the 10 here, especially given like the tilt that Phil must be on at this point. And I think Antonio is considering a raise. He could very well rep a king at this point.
Really? Have him check back
Fold.
the turn? Yeah, he would do that against Phil, I guess.
He might. It would be a little, you know, it's one of those things that I think I think Antonio is a low variance player, and he's not going to do that very often. But it's rare for Phil to have a king in that spot.
Phil Laak made a
Probably didn't help
terrible
my
bluff
case that I
in
bluffed you with that
heat
2-7
number
of spades.
4. Got caught by
You're like,
Antonio.
all right, I know what
and,
Phil's up to.
Laak managed
You just
to come
kind of knew
back
what I was
from
up
a
to.
very short stack.
And you were
to nearly
dead
win the
on.
heat.
It hurt so bad as you
Can
were
he
thinking
do
it
the
feels like,
same
oh my
here
God, this is just
tonight? I mean,
unfolding
he's
in
certainly
his
not
head.
going to
Oh,
give
yeah.
up.
Perfectly
Yeah, I mean,
seasoned.
Phil, in the last heat that we were playing together,
And I thought I
it
could
did
still
not
get lucky.
seem
You might
like
fold.
it was gonna,
I could still get
it was
lucky.
going to go in his favor. You know, he was at the bottom.
Should I
of
have
the
started
tournament.
talking? If I go back in time machine, I would have started doing a little.
People were laughing at how bad he was playing, even at the table.
You know, do all the bullshit.
Yeah,
that got
absolutely.
your brain a
We
little.
all thought he was out. We all thought he was just out of the Premier League, and that was it. But he managed to squeeze his way back into you know, the possibility of making it. So, you know, he could do it again.
Fold.
It's like, you know, this is the guy Laak should be picking on, Jeff Gross. I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah, when you have Jeff to your immediate right, and you know that his strategy, like from just seeing how he's playing, is to play a very low variance style. It's not a bad idea to
7 call. 3 players
up between a guy who can hear you because he's at the table and me, so I'd prefer if you didn't tell your buddy JG he's probably got a 9-2 suited or whatever it was that ran into the comment. I'll do the same for you.
A lot narrower.
Apologize.
I check.
Seat 6 check. 7 check.
Well, Rast has opened this one under the gun. He's got Laak and Shak in the blinds.
Seat 8 bet 13,000. Fold.
And Shak's gone all glassy-eyed with the 3-4s. Deuce
7 call.
is the ultimate cooler. The ultimate payoff card for Dan.
Yeah, Shak should continue to fire here.
Right, and I mean, he check called the flop, so this is a nice lead, right?
Oh, wow.
He understands, yeah.
Yeah, so did he limp before the flop?
No, well, he's in the big blind, Dan.
He's in the
so
big blind.
He called Rast open.
Ah, okay. I was a little confused by that. Okay, so. And now he's leading the turn. Wow, that's completely. It's funny how Dan plays like it's a little. You never know what he's gonna do because with the 4-5 he checked all the way, and now this hand he's kind of like.
He's making it look like he doesn't really like it. It looks like a weak lead. He's trying to make. I mean, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Do you think Dan Shak is a little bit underrated in the sense that, I mean, everyone just says, how does he have so many big results? And it must be because he just, you know, he plays tight and gets great cards. But isn't he just one of those guys who actually plays tight but can surprise a little bit as well?
He definitely has tricks up his sleeve. You know, his general image at any given table, if you're paying attention to him, is that he's playing solid. But then every once in a while, he'll know exactly how to exploit other players with that tight image.
Welcome back. The Party Poker Premier League is all about securing enough points to book a place at the coveted final table, where the winner gets a cool $400,000.
It's been a thrilling start to Heat 5, and we've only played one level. Moments ago, we saw the biggest call ever made in Premier League history.
This has to be a bluff. Okay, this has to be a bluff. I don't think I could respect myself tomorrow if you bluff me here.
Seat 8 call.
He's the best! He is the best!
Rastinator, ladies and gentlemen. Who's the best? You're the best.
I knew he was going to call.
Wow, check it out. So Brian Rast goes from absolute bottom of the leaderboard now to number 2, and he did it in the most stunning way you could imagine.
I mean, the amount of times that Rast has heard Phil Laak say, if I go all in, then they can't call, is probably like over 100. And that had to be going through Rast's head when he was making that call.
Smoking weed benefits are still cool.
Laak's brought out the ski goggles.
Oh, wow. we know what happened yesterday when he did that. I mean,
Seat 6 raised 9,500.
it's like his alter ego, the one that just doesn't lose a pot.
Fold.
And look, he gets rewarded right away with the tens.
it?
They really should set up
9,500.
a phone booth behind the stage and just let Phil go in there and change costumes every once in a while.
Seat 1 call.
Now, see,
Seat
this
2
is
call.
Colman is just Colman. I guarantee would not call someone like Antonio with Jack 7 suited here. It seems to me that at this point Colman has established that okay, Phil is playing a certain style that that he thinks he could exploit, and he's going to try to target Phil in playing as many pots with him as possible.
Now, Koon thought he might have a
C3
spot
call.
there. Was it a spot? I mean, obviously we know Phil's got 10s, but was it? It looked actually like not a bad squeezing spot for Jason Koon, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Not loving it.
All night. Well, I don't know why I told
not
you.
loving it. I think that Jason was more considering whether
C2
he should
check.
call than
3 check.
whether he should raise. It just puts Jason in a really bad spot if he gets called because he's out of position against every single player, except for Jungleman,
C6
of
check.
course. But
Check.
1 check.
So the only guy with a heart is Koon.
C2 check. 3 check.
Really hard for Phil Laak to represent the ace of hearts here. Like, he raised pre-flop. Could he,
Bet
would he ever have just
16,500.
knuckled the flop with the ace of hearts?
I think he would, but
Fold.
it's really amazing, Jesse, because it seems like you know, you can recognize that it's really hard for Phil to represent a flush here. And if somebody has a flush, they're probably not going to call. But Phil is betting into he's betting into 3 other people on a 4-card heart board without a flush. I mean, I just don't think that
It's a good play.
I don't think it's a good play. I'm just going to say it, you know, let's call a spade a spade. Like, I just can't see how that's going to work in the long run.
I mean, look, Jungleman is actually thinking about, like...
Just calling with top 2 pair, yeah. But I don't think Jason's going anywhere in this hand.
I do not have a flush, and that hurts me so bad because I know if I had a 5 high flush, I would have bet 1 pair.
All right, well, we still got a streak at that.
Oh my
God! That takes the cake, ladies and gentlemen. That will take the cake.
Oh my God!
I have a feeling Koon will be betting.
C3 bet 10,000.
Probably the best one.
Oh my! I'm just in disbelief. Did Laak?
And he paid him off.
Yeah, and he paid him off.
He called him on the turn. He showed all the weakness, told his hand basically, then still paid him off. Just at the off chance that Koon was making a move.
Wow. I can't
You
believe
are.
this.
How do you win?
He would have bet more if he had a set, right? So if he bet 50, I have to call faster. Is that what
By the way,
would
you know
happen?
what hold there's 5 cards,
Right now.
Phil.
Like, I just don't understand.
It didn't matter. I only had a pair with
I understand,
no
but you don't
money.
turn. You gave your hand away.
Doesn't matter now. There's no flow.
I will lay 80 to 1. That makes the cut. Does anybody want to bet if that
80 to
makes
1.
the cut or not?
I didn't even have a heart. It's not even interesting.
That will be making the cut. I mean, the guy, you know, he folds the best hand. Do you see that hand where he had the best hand for 80K pot and he just folded it? Oh yeah, in a TV cash game. He had the best hand. The guy turns over his cards. He had the best hand.
I thought I had ace 9, but I had ace 6.
I wonder if you can get disqualified from $125,000 tournament.
It's a big difference.
Just on that basis.
Well, you know, sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out.
You are such an
Fold.
idiot.
Fold.
You are such an idiot.
Oh my.
Fold.
Sometimes the
Raise
wheels just
10,000.
fall
Phil,
off.
you know, he's just such a genius.
You can ask
You know how, like, whenever you meet a genius,
Dan Colman, when you had
there's always something
the
that's lacking.
Jack 3 of clubs against Mizzi's ace 6,
It just
sometimes
seems
it
like,
feels like
you
the
know,
wheels are rolling off in a hand.
C4 call.
Sometimes it just happens.
It's never perfect. And when you're that smart,
Right there,
there's
I'll
just like
roll
an
off
overflow
the
of
track
intelligence.
again.
Like, sometimes you're just gonna be an idiot in
That happens
some
in poker.
areas, and you know,
C3 check.
those areas are
Yeah,
becoming very transparent
It
today.
was,
4 check.
honestly,
2 check.
it should have cost me 50 because I felt like I have to call up to 50 now because the bluffs for the sets that he turns into.
Yeah, but the river was apart anyway.
Good news for Jason
Wait a minute,
Koon,
he
by
has a
the way.
set. Then he would beat my pair.
Picking up a little bit of free
So I
money
just fold
here
10.
all of a sudden.
I play
The last hand, and now this one.
That's a
Plus your little embarrassment.
The theme seems to continue of Jungleman just
C4 call.
getting unlucky.
I'm sort of feeling like I can't beat that.
Fold.
Whatever.
And Antonio just called there. And so what Antonio is doing here is he's calling with the intention of bluffing the river.
C3 check.
And you know it's
not going to work in this hand, I don't think. Antonio is betting strictly to bluff the, thinking that Jason's weak.
Why won't it work?
C4 bet 37,000.
I don't think it's going to work.
Fold.
Did he fold? Yeah. Wow.
That was a strong bluff. I mean,
maybe I'm just underestimating.
I think I bet too much. God, I'm such a fish.
Oh my God. Antonio might be the
What? Ace jack?
Confusing people.
3 aces and 2 jacks?
He's just the master of misinformation. He really is.
And then just like there, I can't really call.
all the good things.
I was thinking about check raising, which
from
were like
Phil
real
Laak
sick.
without any of the bad ones, really.
Yeah.
And some that are better.
Antonio's playing really well.
Fold.
You know, like calling that turn and then betting the
Fold.
river. It seems like when he calls the turn,
Fold.
he could have a low flush, but when he bets the river, it's almost like he has to have a high flush, unless he's just
Fold.
completely floating, which is what he
Fold.
was doing. That's a strong play. I mean, you got to give Antonio credit for that.
He just always seems so in tune with people that it's incredible. I mean, he almost never makes a mistake, really.
BBF.
Seat 6 raise 8,000.
These are the kind of spots, you know,
Seat 5, sorry.
where when it gets around late position and Gross raises, Laak is going to play with him. I mean, not that Gross doesn't have a hand he should raise with, but Laak's going to play with him, for sure.
Call.
He wasted so much time last night. That's
Unreal.
Why do we think that Laak is playing with him every hand? Like, what's the reason? I
just feel like he thinks he can outplay him later on.
And
you know that he's sort of like
my little things
that he's sort of like
you give me a hard time.
one step ahead
of
of him.
space. I don't do a lot with the. There's not a lot I'm doing with it. I'm just trying to enjoy my little space. You know? So what? I take a little 4 seconds here. I really enjoy the process. It's like the whole. I just love it so much. I can't just let it. I'm sorry. I just love it. It's just a participatory moment. It's good.
I mean, I don't mind 3-betting it, but I just don't
Seat 6,
There
all
we
in.
go.
And I wonder if Jeff Gross has trapped him. And Dan Shak's got a double gutter, but
yeah, Dan's folding. It's it's gonna be tough for JG to make this call, but you know he just saw Rast make an insane call with ace high, and this is a lot. I think it's an easier call.
Oh man, is this your balance or is this like, I would never do this twice?
There. 150, 160, 168.5.
Wow. Phil just overbet 173 into how much?
27 basically.
168.5.
As far as the Premier League leaderboard works, like things are going really well for Jeffrey Gross, and his 400,000 that he's got right now is perfect. You know, he can outrun Dan Colman.
I really don't know. Just don't know.
How much does he pick up by knocking out Phil Laak? I mean, he doesn't. It's not anywhere crucial for his Premier League future to pick up these chips.
Fold.
Call.
Oh, he folds.
Can I see the river? Wait.
You're such a.
He's on a draw.
Can we see the river?
Sure, he's on a draw.
Can we see the river? It's very important. If there's no objection, so let's see the river.
No. If he wants to show us why he wants to see the river, I would like to see the river. So I object unless he wants to show us his cards.
He does want to show he's bluffing. That's all right.
You can see the river if you show. Yeah, obviously.
Wow. And,
he got
and
there.
Antonio is just so ridiculously clever.
He's so good.
What was?
He's really, he might be one of the best in the world at hand reading.
Just 32 hands played, and it's been non-stop entertainment. Out in the lead, Jeff Gross thanks Dan Coleman's early chip donation. Second, with what must be one of the greatest calls of all time, Brian the King Rast. Koon and Shak well in the running, But for Jungleman and Laak, it's been a roller coaster ride. Premier League Season 7 continues here at the Playground Poker Club after the break.
You should loosen up a little. I don't need advice.
That's not a good flop.
Punishing poker gods for this call, because I don't know if it's right.
I'm 100%.
Makes me so mad.
Welcome back to Premier League Season 7, where in heat number 5, the action has been a bit tentative. The pressure for points is playing its part, making for an intriguing game. So let's head back to the table.
There are 4 players in this heat who are now playing their last heat. So there is pressure on the guys, more pressure, the ones who have to post the score.
4-7, I'm not going to ask the next card. You know I don't have 4-7 once I say.
Absolutely. And how Jason does in this heat is going to
raise 10,000.
my last heat, 100%. And that goes for Antonio as well.
Well, what about, and if Jungleman wins, I guess that's the only thing you're slightly, I mean, if he could have 31.
Yeah, if Jungleman wins, that's going to be, he's going to have 31 and I'm going to have 26. And that means that I need to get at least, what, 5th place in order to tie him?
Yeah, and then you'd have to actually look and see what the tiebreak, who's ahead on tiebreakers.
Right.
Fold.
I had to call you.
What happens in that situation?
Well, there's 3 tiebreakers, and I'm nearly positive because everything is so bunched that they're gonna come into play. First tiebreakers is number of firsts, number of seconds, number of thirds, and then the second tiebreaker is head-to-heads. So how you did in the heats when you both played with each other.
Okay.
Seat 1 check.
But
so that's good for me because I
Seat 2 bet 10,000.
Yes.
Okay, but in order for me to be in a bad spot, Jungle has to win, so he would have won one as well.
Right. I mean, you'll be able to figure out the tiebreaker scenarios really before the heat starts tomorrow.
Right.
I think.
I can't do the one. I'm gonna do it on the like I make what I will hard to fold, and then get that one river card to get to see it. The one rabbit I get to see, and
C1 raise 25,000 total.
You run good. I run pretty good.
The people who are in the middle of the pack are rooting for
What happens after
the guys who have a lot of points to win.
Same rolls as double?
And I think I'm rooting for the people who don't have a lot of points to win to block those spots for the people in the middle of the pack.
It's about to finish.
By the way, Dan Colman check raised this flop from the big blind against Jungleman's under the gun open. Check raised with the 10 high and has now led the turn. And how strong a case is he making that he has a 5 there?
One of the toughest.
I mean,
call.
It's. I think that he's got a 5. If he has a hand, it's a 5. If he doesn't, it's a complete bluff.
Seat 1 all in.
Wow. That is incredible. He just has so much heart.
You can't get hurt here. On a snowmobile, I'm like,
I mean,
this was the plan. This was the plan when he check raised the flop, right?
Absolutely. He has to do this. If he's going to check raise the flop and bet the turn, he has to fire the river.
I think you might be bluffing actually. It's like 8-6 or something. Snap move all in on that river.
Wow, Jungle, be a hero.
Jungle might do it. There's been a lot of heroes.
Seems so bluffy that just snap move in there. Or like a 6-7 or something. Some weird hand like that.
So at this point, Jungle knows that Dan has the 5 or nothing.
I think he would try to bluff me too. Do you think I just like won't call because whatever? Maybe like you rivering a 6 or something like that, or just like some weird draw.
Daniel seems very composed.
I love the way his mind works. He was onto this so quick.
I don't know, he could be bluffing.
Show him the bluff, kid.
Yeah,
please show the bluff.
Come on, hurt
That's
the jungle.
a bluff for
Hurt
sure.
the jungle. Hurt the jungle. Hurt the jungle.
With ace jack, I call.
Tilt him to the.
Did he show it? No.
Moon.
Yeah, I call.
I really thought Jungle was going to make the call after the whole monologue he gave about, I really think you could be bluffing, and
You know what feels like? You know what's incredible at Jungleman is that he tanked for like 45
Huh?
seconds, and in
I
those
gave the
45
ante.
seconds, his brain went through the exact number of computations that Rast did in like 8 minutes. You know what I mean?
Seems so bluffy.
Right. He's just like he's just such a quick thinker.
It seems so bluffy, but I mean, you can have like a number of hands as well, and then.
I always
think
snap jam ranges though.
Jungle is the type
really?
of player that, like, if he thinks someone's bluffing,
It makes
he
it
will
less
call
likely to
a
call
lot
him.
more than the average person.
I could have it.
I just think the
It's not
idea of his
likely.
Premier League
C4 raise
ending is
10,000.
just too harsh of a reality.
It's 4. It's stupid, man. I'm so angry.
Wow, he is not happy. And like,
maybe Jungleman isn't the person at the table I want to fight.
no shot. What are you talking about?
Gross takes out. He takes out the sunglasses. Gross. He's like a little worried here.
It's like nothing goes right, other than me winning all ins. That's the only thing that's gone right.
Seat 8 call.
I can't hit a draw to save my life, and then every time I have something, it's either. So far, it's mostly just me being beat, and then maybe you buff me with just like some weird hands, just some total airball, which seems unlikely to me.
I'll tell you how tilted Jungleman is. Jungleman
Yeah,
is
if I
so
think you have
tilted
ace-6, I
that
think you can
Antonio's
bluff
not
there,
even
and
sure if
probably
it's
will.
safe to needle him.
Yeah, I
you
think
say
Antonio's gonna
8-6.
lay off a little on this one.
Like spades or whatever the fuck. Or you have like turn to 7, decide to bluff with it, or 6-7,
See, they check.
whatever.
How pissed would you be if I had 8-4?
8-4. Then you
If
got
you called and I had 8-4.
I'd be pretty pissed. From your perspective, it doesn't really. One reason why you have to fold is because you don't really know if I'm gonna fold or not.
4 check.
Even if I have like an ace, which is what I had, obviously.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah,
8 check.
If you just check call down, I just bet 3 streets.
Rast has really saved a lot of money on this. He could have found reasons to check either to bet either the flop or the turn. Protect his hand, I guess.
Yeah, and Antonio could have bet the turn as well. I'm surprised he checked back there.
C4 bet 18,000.
But Rast is on the button.
Yeah, Antonio raised this pre-flop and Rast just flatted and then it just went check, 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 check.
Right. Yeah, Rast has definitely saved a lot of money here. I don't think he's going to call this.
Oh, I know what I do there. I know what I do there. I know what I do there. I know what I do there.
Boy, the play in this Premier League, Sorel, has just gotten so extreme. And aren't you kind of glad to watch this now? So you're almost like pre-prepared for what's going to happen in the last heat. Like, throw all sense of logic and propriety out the window, right? People are going to be just going completely nuts down there.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't have Phil Laak at my table in the final heat.
Jungle,
so it's going to
we've
be a
been in
little
this
less
position
nuts.
before in many things. In poker, we both had to double up, and we started doing that in staying out in the cold and getting 31,000 or 20,000.
At this
we
stage,
just do it.
Jungleman
So like,
ends
all
up
we gotta do
going
is
out, just holding himself
double
down to
up.
the numbers and going out 8. I mean,
Let's do
There's
it.
2 of them. Yeah, so I don't know if they're
I don't know. I don't know. He made
you put it, so then it's good.
Yeah, I just put
No, just because they were like that, that's fine.
It's not
I
looking
thought
too
you
good
were
for
going
him,
out.
but he's still got a
Yeah,
shot.
no problem.
He's still got a pretty decent shot at making the heads up, as long as he racks up some points here.
Well, like, I mean, do you think just even 2 points might be enough? I mean, it's really, how many is enough?
Yeah, well, we have Antonio, who's only played 2 heats, so a lot of, it's really easy and convenient to discount him because he's low on the point board. But you have to remember that he's still got 2 heats to play.
Fold.
So, it's gonna be very difficult for Antonio not to surpass Daniel.
C2
if he
re-raise,
doesn't have a good showing
24,000
here.
total.
And then Phil, this is his last heat, and he's slightly behind Jungleman. So,
right, Jungleman needs to outlast Laak for sure.
Jungleman needs to outlast Laak, yeah.
Jeez, I'll tell you what, Jungle's just 3-bet Brian Rast here, and it feels like if Brian Rast shoves here, I mean, Jungle should only be calling with premium hands, and I wonder if if Brian has just decided, well, jungle is just so tilted, he don't care.
Yeah. I don't like this call from Rast. I think it's one of those spots where you have to either shove or fold. You know, he just doesn't have the implied odds to hit a set, and I think in a cash game it would be okay, you know, because if the stacks were a lot deeper. But in this spot, I feel like he has to make a decision. With this particular hand.
Well, you know, we know the jungle is super tilted, but if this thing gets checked down and Brian Rast is allowed to win this with pocket deuces, I mean, I really. He's not going to stay silent.
No, he's not, and I don't think it's ever going to get checked around. I think at some point one of them is going to bet.
If you show me a hand that I can beat,
bet 27,000.
I will be shocked. I can think of like one hand, or I can think of like 3 hands, but they're all better in value than mine.
Fold.
Well, why did you erase them?
I like the only thing I can have. It's not like a. I don't have.
Maybe we should play tighter jungle. Maybe without that.
I guess Antonio will let him de-steam a little, and the needlings continue.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, you should loosen up a little, jungle. I think the cold really got to you.
Looser, jungle. It doesn't work out. Trust me.
I don't need advice.
I tried that.
Sound wisdom.
Whether you want to put it in or not.
Jungleman is probably one of my favorite people to be around. I would actually pay to have him near me for an entire year or 2 years or 5 years.
Oh my God.
I just could never get tired of him.
I think in this format, he applies some stuff that he knows in cash to this, which I think doesn't always apply correctly.
But watch out if he loses a pot.
It makes me so mad.
Hopefully I can, you know, deliver some kind of bad beat or beat him in a big pot just to catch some Jungleman steam.
He's the kind of guy that I think he has a really good heart. He's just, we're all wired differently.
If you ask Jungleman a question, you can be anybody, whether you know him close in. He will do his best to give you the answer right out of the gate. That's why Antonio can sometimes have some questions with him, and all of a sudden he's in these awkward question moments because he doesn't know how to say, let's not talk about it. He just always just says the answer.
If you can punch me one time, would you accept?
Yes.
He is such a sweetheart in so many ways, the Jungleman too. He's just like.
He really is. You gotta love
Colman,
and
hurry, kid.
respect someone who's always saying what's on.
Dan, is
his
it
mind.
okay? I just call you Colman. I like
He's just
Colman.
honest. He's
Sounds like a clothing backpack company or something.
In every way, you know, like in how he's feeling, his emotions, what he says, just every way he's just honest. It's like he says what everyone else is thinking when they're in that spot. And some people can hide it though, you know. I think most people can hide it, but
fold.
I'll tell you how tilted Jungleman is. Jungleman is so tilted that Antonio's not even sure if it's safe to needle him.
Yeah, I think Antonio's gonna lay off a little on this one.
Seat 5, call.
Now, I know we can see that Phil Laak's got a good hand, but this is not really a spot because Koon should be quite strong here. I mean, based on everything we've seen. He should probably, shouldn't he, have a hand that can call a shove, or?
He doesn't have to have a hand that will call a shove. I mean, he could be expressing some frustration. Plus, you know, he's still opening like a very wide range. He's not folding like 9-10 suited, or there's like a lot of hands that he's opening that he's not calling a 3-bet.
So then, in that case, a shove might have actually, you know, Laak. He needs to gamble a little bit, needs to pick up chips. Maybe that was a spot.
That was a decent spot. Yeah, that would have been a decent spot, but it's a lot of chips. You know, like him shoving there for 179,000 would have been that's like a 40 big blind shove. So I actually prefer the call over the shove.
Seat 6 check.
Wow.
Yes, wow is right.
Seat 3 check.
Even more of a wow.
Why is Koon checked there? Is it just that it was too strong? I mean, you've got Laak in the small blind who's, you know, a bit of a loose cannon.
I'm so confused right now. The fact that
can't overall. You don't need to slow play your hands when Jeff Gross has flatted you and Phil Laak is in the pot, right?
Both of their check. I mean, Jason's check surprises me more than JG's check, but they both still surprise me. I can't believe that this has gone check.
So is Jason Koon thinking to himself, I need to just check because Laak is liable to just move all in at any point with nothing? Is that possible?
I guess that's his rationale, but at the same time, he's capable of doing that on any street. How this has gotten to the river without a bet is scary.
Seat 6 bet 30,000.
Wow.
It's an absolutely sick river card, and Jeff Gross is going to get just so lucky. He's not going to lose a chip right now. He's not going to lose a chip.
It's amazing how all these situations they always work out for Jeff Gross. Like no matter what the situation.
JG,
like, he should be broke in this hand. You know,
should be broke in this hand.
And somehow he found a way to get away for just a pre-flop raise.
raise 110 total.
I don't even know if Phil Laak's going to call here, and I just wonder if I mean, it's not just because of the hands out there that Jason Koon's made a mistake, right? I mean, he's made a mistake here by checking the flop.
I think so. I think so, especially because it's JG on the button, and I don't think he's gonna. I think Jason is thinking, okay, I'm gonna check because Jason's gonna bet a decent amount of time, but I just don't think that. Or sorry, that Jeff is going to bet a decent amount of time, but I don't think that Jeff is going to bet a decent amount of time unless he has a big hand. I mean,
and his flatting range is very strong, Jeff Gross, and so you need to bet for value against him.
Absolutely. It's one of those spots, like if I was sitting in Phil's seat, I would be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for him to have anything, but he's not bluffing. Right. It's like one of those deductive reasoning.
He just, he just have to say he walked into it with the deuce 5. Somehow he's got there with the deuce 5, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Or something
You
else.
just have to put him on slow playing a monster.
Fold.
But then again, I mean, I can never see that Jason is taking this line as a bluff against someone like Phil Laak, who's just proven
my match
to be
equity
so
chances
reckless.
with 136, 137, 138.
What a strange hand.
Pretty bleak, but they're much bleaker.
It's a very strange hand.
I would remove.
Such a great river.
Did he bet 110?
110 total.
Then I would have 28,000. I would be very, very weak. Be very weak position.
JG shaking his head. He's just confused.
By calling him, I'm right. I add 110 to all that money. Ooh, that would be good. It's like 110 and 60, around 170. So I would have 141.
Such a weird answer, right? I mean, just really weird.
It was the perfect river too to create this situation. I mean, only an ace would have made this happen.
It's probably just a chop. They're probably just stealing with the chop.
And that's a very, it's not a terrible assessment.
I feel like if you had an ace, you might have c-bet the flop, ace queen.
I think Jason, that's the other thing. Jason
turn,
could be raising here. He could be raising here with a weak ace, knowing that Phil does not have a 4 and does not have ace king.
You might just have ace queen. You could have like ace 9. No, maybe. Doubtful. Oh my God, kid.
At this point, I think that Phil is calling for a chop if he's calling.
Sure than nothing.
Yeah.
That's a good bluff.
Kid,
I folded a good hand.
I found a way to lose that hand. I don't know how.
I think JG just said he found a way to lose that hand.
I might have been able to win it if I put.
I mean, he played it brilliantly. I mean, he found a way to just like mint money in a sense.
So yeah, he found a way to lose the absolute minimum in a spot where he should be broke.
And for Jason Koon, doing well, second position in chips, but wow, I mean, he could have almost run away with the Premier League right there.
I'm in a really good spot, should at least be playing heads up for the final table, and if I put up a good number today, I'll be a favorite to just be one of the top 4. Now the pressure's kind of off, so everyone else, I'm watching them squirm and see all the draw stands, and for me, I'm just going to keep with my game plan, probably put a little more pressure on than I have been, and see how it goes.
I'm pretty confident going to this table today.
anytime playing poker, I always go in just trusting my gut. My first instinct, I always go with it. So this is going to be just the same thing.
I need to have a pretty good score. I mean, 4 people have to finish below me for me to make the heads up, which is kind of my goal at this point. And I think in order to do that, I have to have a pretty good show today. Like, I'm probably going to have to get a minimum 4th and probably like 3rd or better to really keep myself in the running going into the last heat.
This is the Party Poker Premier League, where heat number 5 represents one last chance for some to secure the points that they need to remain in the competition. Time to head back to the action.
Getting busy here at the Playground Poker Club in Montreal in the main poker room.
Maybe I just
and on
wanted
the
you kids
TV
to make an
table
ace
here.
so I can
battling it out in heat number 5 for anywhere between 0 points and 14 points, with 4 at the table playing their final heat of season 7.
Right in the middle, and it's probably
You can't
somewhere.
be a genius if you just fold an ace. Now, if you folded a 4 and I had a boat,
Seat
you're
6
a genius.
raised 9,500.
No, not genius.
You just had ace queen, right?
I had a monster. My hand was
Laak
so good. It's
raising it up with the 7-3 on the button. Shak makes the call with 8-7 suited.
I guess there was 2 clubs out there, so like ace, X, and clubs.
And you know what? All I'm gonna say is I'm very curious what you had, and it's a very interesting hand.
And dream situation for Brian
Rast. 2 of the
Rast.
best sandwich. I got you here, Phil here, and
Picking
I'm
up
just
the
like,
kings when Phil Laak raises
please
the button.
connect, please make a hand, and
Yeah,
just couldn't come.
especially when
I never
Phil
bluff.
has been known to.
Seat 8 3-raised
not
27,000
release his
total.
hand.
Not that spot.
Fold.
I mean,
I don't think you're bluffing. I think you
I
have like,
bluff blowing them off the chop.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm considering, or a boat.
He can never have
One of the 2. But with that being said, if you are bluffing them off a chop, and I take it to the next level.
Seat
you
7
call.
re-raise all in.
I said if you like, if I ship
All in call.
Wow, and that's Dan Shak.
Wow, Jacks.
I thought you were just making a
God,
move.
look what he rolls over though, the 7-8 of clubs. That's the hand he doesn't want to
That's
see.
how he wins, you know?
No, I'm saying that's the hand he doesn't want to see, Shaky.
I thought he was on a move.
I kind of want to see it.
That's like the one.
That, this
way
hand
better.
that spot for a
really
move.
sums up Dan's play. You know, like he'll just play tight for
I knew you were light.
5 orbits, not this hand, and then they'll just decide, okay, I'm going to go for it this hand. But, you know, when someone wakes up with kings, they're not folding.
He's gotten a bit unlucky here, Dan Shak, the defending champion. He's run into it.
Yeah.
Tried to make a play.
3 actually.
And
Well, 2 different.
he's going to have another heat to play, Sorel. But oh wow.
It's the worst card.
Against anyone else.
Rast, he's gonna have a fit.
Will you do a
4 or
jungle
9.
bluff if he gets there?
Although I don't want to hear Jungle telling me how bad he's running at like 14 points or whatever.
Oh my God, it's close.
Good game, Shaky.
That's the bagel. He has me.
I don't know if he has you. I think you have about 2,000 left.
No, I have more. I have like
The greens are. Oh, the greens
Oh, that was a blow up.
My guess is he'll be in a spot in the last heat, Dan Shak, where he not only has to win Sorel, but he has to win and have a certain order.
He doesn't have a
finish.
hand there most of
Maybe
the
have
time.
someone else not win the
300.
second.
Good luck, guys.
See you, buddy.
Big gap now between Brian Rast and the rest of the field, with Laak and Jungleman still holding on. 0 points for Dan Shak, the defending champion, mathematically not out, but only a miracle can get him into the top 8 now.
It's a blowout.
Tomorrow is going to be very interesting because Dan has to win. That's the only way he's going to have a chance is if he wins. So he might just decide, I'm going to come in and put everyone in the worst spot imaginable and just shove every hand, open every hand.
Those kind of things you're talking about are really going to be possible if you do find the situation where no one can come in 8th and one person has to win.
The Rastinator show, huh?
Then you really should just shove every hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And there might be more than one person that has to get first. And that's going to be like, just create a dynamic that very few people in the world have ever played it.
Are you looking forward to it, or?
You know, I have to really do some studying and go back to the drawing board and figure out how I'm going to approach this situation because I've never played in the Premier League before, so this is all new to me.
If you could call one person in the poker world, like for advice as far as that, who to you is just they just look at it and go, that's it. Not that they would give it to you, but like, you know what I mean.
Right. I would say it would be a tie between Igor
Igor Kurganov, who played the last Premier League. Yep.
And Phil Bort. Those are my two. Yeah, those are my two. They're both German. I mean, they just know the answer. Immediately, they'll know what to do.
Good call.
Seat 1 check.
Although Kurganov, as it turns out, by the way, he did play last season's Premier League and did terrible.
Did he? He did tell me about that.
Yeah, he got very good luck. Nothing went right.
Seat 1 raised, 23,000 total.
It's true.
Colman keeping the pedal on the metal.
Well, this is not Jungleman, Dan Colman. This is not the Jungleman, but it still worked. Maybe it is the Jungleman.
Oh, can we put the sheet here?
I was Dan Colman. I'm from outside Boston, Massachusetts. I always had a propensity to gamble growing up, whether it was gambling for baseball cards, playing blackjack with friends, video games for money. Just always liked to gamble, so kind of got naturally drawn to poker. I don't think I had a natural ability for the game. I first started it was gambling, you know? It was just fun, but then as soon as I found online poker, I realized that some people were winning, and I want to know how they were winning, so I looked into that, and I just kept trying to work to get better and better. Until eventually I became a winning player. My main game is hyper turbo heads up sin goes. You don't have that big of swings playing them. They're relatively small buy-in, but with all the action, you really get to you really get a lot of volume, so you can make a lot of money in them. This is my first big TV tournament. I'm a bit out of my comfort zone. You know, there's bright lights. You're playing on a poker table. It's not your normal poker table, but at the same time, I feel very confident when it comes to playing poker. I feel very confident in my ability, so it's not going to change my game at all.
Lines going to 3,000 and 6,000, and Sorel with all the computations and permutations, it's really hard to keep track sometimes of what's going on, but I guess what you can say right now is Dan Shak, a big favorite to be in the elimination zone, and right now Phil Laak in big trouble on the short stack, and maybe a favorite to be down there, and also Jungleman with his short stack. You know, looking very treacherous, actually, his road through here. If he was to be next out, he could also be in big trouble. What are the dynamics in play right now for Esfandiari against Rast? This is a hand he could flat, or he could 3-bet.
Rast raised from under the gun +1, so, and
really under the gun?
41,000.
And Antonio raised here, so, I mean, his hand is very strong, and I like the raise. It doesn't feel like Rast is going to get away from this hand. I think he's gonna call here. Yeah, given that Rast has like more of a cash game background and he's comfortable playing post flop, I think that Rast is definitely gonna call here rather than 4-bet.
I mean, both these guys have only played 2 heats, Sorel. Esfandiari has 14 points, Rast has 6. However, Rast has nearly twice as many chips as Antonio. So, I mean, it's a disaster for Antonio to get 7 points here. I wonder.
I'm all in.
Raise all in.
Wow.
And Antonio has to fold. Antonio has to fold. I'm pretty sure he's regretting 3-betting right now, but
That's a really tough spot.
He has to fold, Sorel, because even though Antonio's got 14 points, going into the last heat with 15 is going to handcuff him so much.
He's looking at the sheet. Yeah, he's looking at the sheet, and with that logic,
I mean, Rast could have done this quite light, but
if Antonio is folding ace-king here, Rast should be doing this extremely light.
So you think you got to start to think about it like from that point of view.
Wow, this is like an impossible spot.
I think this is the first time when Antonio did something without really considering the Premier League implications.
Right.
He just said to himself, well, Rast is probably raising a lot here because he's got 700,000. You know, I'm going to 3-bet him for value.
Call.
He's called!
He's called.
And he's not happy. Antonio is not happy right now.
I knew I should have just flatted. God, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, it makes way more sense to flop pre-flop, given the point system.
I knew it too.
Punishing poker gods for this call, because I don't know if it's right.
odds.
Yeah.
They would have got in anyway.
Ace on
Wow. And King Rast goes forward.
It's not over.
It's not.
It's not over. It's 4%er, but it's got to be runner.
That's what this feels like Montreal here last year when I had to start when it came. I had 4.
Nice playing with you, boys.
He's trying to do the move. 10?
Nope, 4 sides though.
Good game, buddy.
It's a sweat.
And Sorel, obviously, you know, you could say, oh, it's just a race, but I think in terms of the Premier League, Antonio, maybe not a mistake, but he will regret the way he played that hand. Esfandiari now 15 points through 3 heats. He's certainly not out of it, but he's going to have his work cut out for him. Great news for a lot of the other players. Jungleman, especially. Esfandiari is one of the people that Jungleman would have been worried about passing him if he had had the early exit for the top 8. Incredible stuff.
That's 1 point here for Antonio with 1 heat left to play, so 15 total right now. Talk to me about the last hand there with the ace-king versus the jacks, and you're not very happy with your decision, you said?
No, I mean, Rast is opening very light because he has all the chips, and he really just kind of has to win, so he doesn't really care. And, you know, I wake up with ace-king on the button. It's a monster. And I'm always 3-betting on the button a lot, so it looks weak, but it was a spot where I really didn't need to do that. I should have just flatted, seen a flop, and gone from there because I shouldn't have taken a flip. I'm a little upset with my play there.
Towards the middle of the pack with 1 heat still left to play, so there are definitely still some more points out there available for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
2 out, 5 more to go here in heat number 5 of Premier League VII.
It's going to hurt. This one would hurt.
Interesting.
100K, let's go. Get the Jungleman out.
Makes me so mad.